Hey, this is Donald Jenkins, your Master Purpose Development Coach, CEO of the Purpose Development Institute, and welcome to Crushing Average TV, the only place on the web where you can come and master insight on how to reverse the effects of PDD. Hey, listen, I am thankful that you took some time out of your busy schedule to get some very important insight that I'm sure is going to speak volumes to you by the end of this video. So make sure that you watch this video all the way to the end, because I have a special message for our 300 men movement. Special message for you. So make sure that you have a pen, piece of paper, take copious notes, and please share this video with as many men as possible, because today I'm going to talk about something that I'm sure is going to resonate with your heart, and that is we're going to have a little small discussion on being a sports fan versus a design potential fan. And you might be asking, what in the world is a design potential fan? I'm glad you asked that question, because that's what I'm going to be unpacking in this video. It's important for you to be able to distinguish the difference between the two, so that you can realize what it is that we need to do, our obligation that we need to be fulfilling as men in this season. So let's start with the whole sports fan. Now, let me set the record straight. All right. I am an athlete, all right, or a former athlete. Played basketball, high school basketball, stand out, at 3 different high schools. I understand, what does it mean to be a sports fan? I was that guy. MVP county tournament, the whole 9. Not bragging or boasting, but I'm trying to give you some context as to my relationship with being a sports fan. So I get it. Sports is like a phenomenal aspect of life that we all get a chance to experience and compete, and build team, and so many lessons that you can take away from sports. So sports is great and is beneficial for so many areas of our life, and me and Dr. Lily, we are big sports fans, specifically of Golden State Warriors. Now, I know some of y'all probably got, other teams that you're rooting for, but the Warriors, they are our team. I've been known for driving the bandwagon, outside of the Golden State Warriors, I just go for whoever's winning. So most of the people that are in my network, they say, okay, you got enough room on the bandwagon because we know who you pulling for. You're pulling for the team that's winning, and typically that's just kind of the way I've done my affinity for sports, because, you pour your heart into supporting these teams and they let you down, so I didn't want to pour too much heart in a whole lot of teams and get my heart let down. Now with the Warriors is a different story, because I am going to support the Warriors, because that's just the team that, me and my wife, we love at this particular point in time for so many reasons, not just because they're winning, but there's a whole lot of other things that's behind that. So I wanted to tell you that because I understand having an affinity for sports. I'm that guy, I know the points, that Steph Curry, score in each game. I know the stats. I might not know all the stats, but I kind of keep up with the stats too, just like we do as men. We are notorious for knowing how many points our favorite players scored, what the score of the game was, and, what their athletic ability in regards to their KPIs might be. We are fanatics in that stuff, So I get it. It's fun. It's something that we can do to entertain ourselves. So just to let you know that I am that guy. And what I'm going to say after this doesn't pour water on you being that person. All right. So it's okay for us to do those things, but not to do those things at the expense of not being a fan of our design potential. I'm gonna say it again. It's okay for us to do those things. All right. We know the score. We know the stats. We know the year. We know how many seconds was left on the clock. We know all of that stuff, but not at the expense of being a fan of my design potential. Now, let me unpack that for you, because this might be the first time that you're hearing about this particular area of comparison when it comes to sports and when it comes to design potential. But as men, we got to have this conversation, because we're big sports fans. but we're not big fans of design potential. We're not big fans in that area. Now I'm gonna show you why that's a problem. Okay, why that's a problem. Why that is a problem that is plaguing our society that we have to correct. It's a problem that we have to correct. It's a problem that I know that God has ordained us correct. So the problem is, the question is, what are you willing to do to correct that problem? All right, because you got to make a choice. If you're gonna be the man that God designed you to be, and that's what this is all about. It's all about being the man that God designed you to be. And if I'm going to be the man that God designed me to be, I have to understand, what does it mean to become a fan of design potential? Now, I am going to segue that thought with the scripture. Psalms 139 verse 14. I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can have reference, in the future. But this is a scripture that we got to take to heart. It's a scripture that in this season, we have to pay attention to what God is saying in this season about this particular passage of scripture. Here's what it said. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Wow. I'm going to say it again. What we're seeing in this particular passage of scripture, we're seeing someone, the writer, all right, which we know as David being a fan of what God designed. Okay, I'm going to say that again. David was a fan of what God designed, and he proclaimed that in this particular passage of scripture. So we have mastered what it's like to be a sports fan, but we're still beginners when it comes to being a fan in what God designed. That's not the way that God created man to be. God created man to carry the wisdom of what he designed. And this is what David was celebrating in this particular passage of scripture. He said, because of what you designed, I'm going to praise thee, because I know that it's fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. Marvelous are the thing that you have designed. All right. And my soul know this quite well. My soul know this quite well. In other words, just like we know those stats well in sports, David was saying that I know design potential very well. So the question that we have to ask ourselves in this season is, what are we willing to do to take the same energy that we have in being a fan in sports and being a fan for God's design potential? Are we willing to make the same investment? Because when we look at being a fan in sport, we put a whole lot of money in sports. We go to games, we travel, we get hotels. All right. Not saying that your kids are playing sports. How much money you're shelling out to play the game. All right. But God is saying that I've called you to play the most important game in your life. And it's called the game of life. And in order to win at the game of life, you need to understand your design potential. If you're going to win this game, all right, there's a different game. If you're going to be a fan in this game. See, our problem is we've been a fan of sports for years. And I just said it's okay for us to do that, but not at the expense of us not being a fan of what God designed. All right. So let me show you something. I'm going to show you what does it mean, because you might be a good man. All right. Let's just say, for instance, you're a good man, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a purpose fit man. There's a difference between the two. You're a good man. You say, I don't do this. 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 And that's your good man list of the things that you don't do. But what you got to understand, that a purpose fit man has another list. And it's a list that says, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I do this. Why does a purpose fit man have a different list? Because he's a fan of what God designed. He's a fan of what God designed. He don't have a I don't do list. He has a I do list. This is what I do. All right. So let's talk about those things that you do as a purpose fit man and a man that is a fan of what God designed. All right. That's the reason why I created the masterclass. All right. I created this masterclass. It's an action plan so that now you know what to do to be a fan of what God designed. I'm going to say that again. I created this. All right. It took me years. Me and my wife, this is a work of me and Dr. Lily that we put together to help us understand how to create a blueprint so that now we can understand how to be a fan of what God designed. So when we're a fan of what God designed, we have a different list that we're working with. And it's a list that says, these are the things that I'm going to do because I'm a fan. You know what it is that you're going to do for your team. Me and Dr. Lily, we know what we're going to do for our team. We'll buy money, we'll spend money to go get tickets. We'll buy jerseys, we'll do all this kind of stuff. You know what you do, what you don't do as a good man. I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do that. Because like I said, just because you are a good man does not mean that does not mean that you are a purpose fit man. A purpose fit man is a fan of what God designed. And these are the things that the purpose fit man will do. Number one, a purpose fit man will understand how to work with his character profile. Okay? How to work with his character profile. See, a lot of times, and I'm not talking about no character. I'm talking about your character profile. There's a complete body of knowledge associated with your character profile versus your character. All right? That's the reason I put the blueprint in here. Okay? Because the blueprint teaches you how to work with your character profile. Now you might be asking, why is that important? Because your character profile will come up with a different list of the things that you will do. Okay? Remember, a good man say, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this. But a purpose fit man say, I will do this, I will do this. I will work with my character profile. All right? So that I can close the personal growth gap. All right. So a purpose fit man saying, I do work with my character profile. I am closing my personal growth gap, and I do know my intuitive growth number. I know my numbers. This is the thing that I do. I know my numbers. Why? Because I am a fan of what God designed. When you're a fan of what God designed, you're going to know the numbers of your growth potential. We know the numbers of all these other teams and the players. We know those numbers. But we got to understand how to know the numbers of God's design potential. When was the last time you had your intuitive growth score? Do you know your intuitive growth score? That is critical for you being the purpose fit man. That is critical for you being the man that is a fan of what God designed. I got thousands of things that I can unpack, the things that we need to do because we're a fan of what God designed. We just like David, all right? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And the first thing he said was, I will praise thee. So what this purpose fit action plan allows you to do, it allows you, it deepens your relationship with God. It deepens your relationship with what God designed, all right? It deepens your relationship with how you build value to improve your relationship with your kids and your wife and how to add value to this world. That's what this does. And we don't have enough men in the earth that's a fan of what God designed. That's the reason why I want to do this video. A sports fan versus design potential fan. So in this season, we got to become design potential fans. We have to. There's too much at stake for us not to become design potential fans. That's the reason why I put this video together. That's the reason why we created the 300 Men Movement. 300 Men Movement is more than a group of 300 men that's working on themselves. 300 in Hebrew is also symbolic of fire. All right? Men on fire for what God designed. We're on fire for what God designed. We have fallen in love. Just like you on fire for your team, it's time for you to be on fire for what God designed. That's what season that we're in. So make sure that you go to this website, www.purposefitme.com. All right? You need to reach out to me to get a coupon code. Reach out to me. But you need to take this course. You need to understand the things that you will do. Not that I'm a good man and I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do that. Well, what about the things that you will do because you are a fan of what God designed? That's what this reveals. All right. So make sure that you get into this course. Be a part of our community, because this community is what I believe that God is going to use to change the world and to make sure that we put the church in a better place to impact this world with the gospel of God's kingdom. God bless you. Look forward to working with you, your church. Spread this video, share this video with as many people as possible so that we can get as many men on board and help them make that transition from just being a sports fan to being a design potential fan. Someone that is on fire for what God designed. God bless you.